This is Susan Bradley for CSO Online. There's not a day that goes by that I don't read a headline about another ransomware attack. And every time I read it, I wonder, am I next? What are the ways that the attackers got in? Can I learn from how they got in? Recently, attackers went after the Colonial Pipeline and caused gas deliveries to be delayed. As with other attacks, I always want to know, how did they come in? And recently I read an article that indicated that the attackers used a single compromised password in order to gain access. There was an old VPN account that allowed employees to remotely access the computer network. This account was no longer in use at the time of the attack, but still could be used to access the network. The account's password had been discovered inside a batch of leaked passwords on the dark web. So perhaps the Colonial Pipeline employee used it somewhere else and it was used in a breach attempt. Bottom line, one account, one password, a whole lot of disruption. So what can you do in your own environment to better protect yourself? Think of those leftover accounts, those passwords that you've used a long time ago and perhaps haven't changed. As with everything, you can use a PowerShell command to pull a report to indicate which accounts haven't logged in the last 90 days. Launch an administrative PowerShell, launch the command, and you can get a list of those accounts that haven't logged in the last 90 days. Sometimes they're service accounts, otherwise they're actual user accounts. So go through, spit out a list, and review that access. There's all sorts of tools on the web that you can use to also query Active Directory. You can use to clean up old computer accounts and also user accounts. There's a site called joeware.net, and he has quite a few tools to review Active Directory. Next, you want to look at, if you're involved with Azure, I would suggest that you look at risk policies, conditional access rules that identify risky users and make sure that there's additional policies around that user. So if you have someone who is of high risk, who has lots of attempts against their account, you can do additional remediation to help protect that. Then you want to look at your password policy. Time and time again, this password policy that you set in your environment will often either teach your users to set good policies or, and unfortunately often, have them set bad passwords. If you have an annoying password policy that makes you change your password over and over again and only requires one additional character as a change, often you end up where you have reused passwords, or they only change one letter, or they reuse it over and over again. So again, look at your password practices in your firm. See if you're doing everything that you can to ensure that people don't reuse the same password over and over again, and especially don't use them and don't change them properly. As always, the attackers are out to get you, and they want to use your accounts to gain access. Make sure it's as hard as you can that they're blocked and they can't gain access into your network through your users. Until next time, this is Susan Bradley for CSO Online.